So, what if the secret to learning wasn't about studying harder, but about thinking, well, smarter? We're about to dive into a strategy that can completely shift the level of your thinking, helping you learn faster, deeper, and with way less frustration. You know the feeling, right? We've all been there. You spend hours, maybe even days, cramming, highlighting everything in sight, making endless flashcards, only to feel like it's all vanished when you actually need it. As learning coach Justin Sung points out, this cycle is just incredibly demoralizing. It can make you feel like you've completely hit a wall, and maybe, just maybe, you're not cut out for this. But here's the good news, and this is really important. That feeling, it has nothing to do with your intelligence or how much effort you're putting in. It's just a sign that you're operating at the wrong cognitive level. Think of it as a strategic error, not some kind of personal failing, and it's one we can absolutely fix.
Now, to fix it, we first need a map, right? A way to see the different territories of thought so we know where we are and, more importantly, where we need to go. And luckily for us, educators have had a map just like this for decades.
It's called Bloom's Taxonomy. It was developed way back in 1956 and got a refresh in 2001. At its core, it's a super useful framework that breaks down learning into different levels of skill, all arranged in a pyramid, from the most basic stuff to the most complex.
Let's just quickly walk up this pyramid together. The foundation, the very bottom, starts with remembering facts and then understanding what they mean. In the middle, you've got applying that knowledge to new situations. But the real goal, where the magic happens, is reaching the top, analyzing connections, evaluating different ideas, and, at the very peak, creating something brand new.
We can actually group these 6 levels into 2 main tiers, which makes it even easier to grasp. The bottom 3, remember, understand, and apply, those are your lower order thinking skills, or LOTS for short. They're the foundation, absolutely essential. But the top 3, analyze, evaluate, and create, those are the higher order thinking skills, or HOTS. And this is the territory where deep, lasting learning really happens. Okay, so we all want to get to those higher order skills, right? But the usual path, starting from the bottom, can be super slow and honestly pretty frustrating. So what if there was a shortcut? A kind of counterintuitive approach that flips the entire process on its head? Let's just ask the question directly. What is the most efficient way to get from the bottom of this pyramid to the top? Do you really have to painstakingly climb each and every step one by one? Or is there another way? Just look at the difference here. The conventional path starts at the bottom with simple memorization. The big problem? By the time you try to use that knowledge, you're already forgetting the basics. That's a process called knowledge decay. The shortcut path, though, flips this entirely. It starts way up at level 5, evaluate. You aim high, right from the get-go. And this right here is the key insight. Like Justin Sung explains, when you force your brain to operate at a higher level, like evaluating or analyzing something, it has no choice but to master the lower levels. Remembering, understanding, applying, they all happen as a natural side effect of the process. It's not magic, it's just a much more efficient way for your brain to work. Now, I know this might sound a little too good to be true, but it's actually grounded in some really well-established cognitive science. So let's peek under the hood and look at the mechanism in our brain that makes this top-down approach so incredibly powerful. Back in 1972, 2 psychologists, Craik and Lockhart, proposed what they called the levels of processing model. The core idea is actually pretty simple. The more deeply you engage with information, the stronger and more lasting that memory will be. In other words, the quality of your thinking directly determines the quality of your memory. And this connects perfectly to our pyramid. See, shallow processing, like just memorizing a definition, creates really fragile memories. That's your level 1 remember. But deep processing, where you're thinking about meaning and making connections, that creates incredibly durable memories. And that is exactly what's happening up at level 5 when you evaluate information. So here's the crucial point, the real takeaway. This shortcut works because it forces deep processing by default. From the very beginning, when you start by asking, why is this important? Or how does this compare to that other thing? You are forcing your brain to build these rich, meaningful connections that form strong, long-lasting memories. You're building a web, not just a fragile stack of cards. But hang on, there's one final critical piece to this whole puzzle. Because even the best strategy in the world is pretty useless if you're starting from absolute zero. What you already know is the launch pad for everything new you're about to learn.
The psychologist David Ausubel put it perfectly decades ago. He said your existing knowledge is the single most important factor in learning something new. It's the scaffolding, the framework that all new information gets built on.
But there's a catch, and it's a big one. Simply having that knowledge stored away somewhere in your brain isn't enough. It's kind of like owning a massive library full of books you never, ever open. For that knowledge to actually be useful, you have to actively use it. And research shows there are 3 conditions that are absolutely crucial. First, your prior knowledge has to be activated. You need to consciously pull it out of your memory. Second, it has to be relevant to whatever you're learning now. And third, it needs to be congruent. It should align with the new information, not totally conflict with it. If you miss even one of these, that old knowledge can actually get in the way of learning. So let's bring it all together. Real effective learning isn't about brute force. It's not about who can study the longest. It's a sophisticated strategy. It's about combining that top-down, deep thinking approach with the deliberate activation of what you already know. That right there is the formula for smarter learning. So there you have it. You've got the map of the mind with Bloom's taxonomy, and you've got the shortcut of starting near the top. The only question left is, what are you going to build with it? What new, original work will you create and bring into the world?